Hi friend, Binibining Pilipinas is back with their national costume show. Thank you so much for all of you who requested this video. I'm super excited to start doing more coverage of this year's contestants as things get back on track. So if you don't know me already, I'm Dani. Thank you so much for clicking on this episode. I'm super excited to talk about these national costumes just because I haven't really focused on national costumes very much in my other episodes or coverage of any pageant. So this is basically a first. Pretty sure, yeah, it's a first. I've never done a national costume episode. So we're going to be talking about these costumes today, and I have to say I was really impressed by how they were able to showcase these and kind of how they're picking up where they left off. So the organization created portraits of each of the contestants in their national costumes, and then they are touring them through exhibits in different cities in the Philippines. And I thought that was brilliant. It reminded me of a time when I saw this really cool Martin Luther King exhibit in an airport, and it was just so cool to be in this place where, you know, you're going to be spending your time. I'm there anyways, right? I needed to travel, but to be able to experience history and culture in an unexpected place, I thought was really neat. And I think it's really great that that's how they're bringing the contestants to the people, is by holding these exhibits. And so then for the national costume presentation, what they did was they hosted some commentary with some reigning queens, Emma and Patch, and then two other commentators. I'm not familiar with them, but I thought it was really, really great. And they shared a lot about the behind the scenes of these costumes, the history, the culture, what went into creating them. Honestly, I thought I was just going to look at the costumes, pick my favorites, and then move on. But I ended up watching the entire show and really listening to all the details about each of these national costumes. So honestly, I think you should check it out. I'm gonna link it in the description below. Now I'm going to talk about my favorites for this year, and I'm going to announce them in no particular order. I just think that she looks absolutely stunning in this piece, and the commentators mentioned that it looked like it was something that if you took away the accessories and the props, that she could wear it to an event, and I totally agree. I think it's so, so beautiful. I love that it could have that dual purpose. And they also commented on the use of props, and that it's really great when you have a prop that makes sense with your national costume. And I totally agree. I think that the props really added to this. It really added to the image, and I'm curious what she would do with them or how she would use them or incorporate them on stage. This really reminded me of when Thailand won the national costume competition at Miss Universe, and when she was riding in the little tuk-tuk, and I thought it was so cute, so inventive, and that definitely was my favorite national costume that year, although there were quite a few others that were really spectacular. But this piece really reminded me of that, using this piece of transportation as her national costume. And I thought that it was really inventive, it's really memorable, and what's different and unique about something like this is that you get to see more of her. She's not covered up as much by the costume, so you get to see her amazing statuesque legs in this piece. Basically anything with a crown really gets me, so I absolutely loved this just because it was so royal, and there are no words. It was beautiful for me. She's the first contestant, and I think that she's really making an impact and a statement, and I think that when she hits the stage in this national costume, she is really going to get some attention in it. And I would just, oh, these are beautiful. I wish we had this in the US. This is incredible. This whole fire star thing really got me immediately because of the colors. It stood out. It's not a massive national costume, but I still think it's so well done, and it caught my attention. And if she was doing a lineup on stage, she would definitely catch my eye, and that's something that I like to see in a national costume. Honestly, this national costume was spectacular, and frankly, the details overwhelmed me. And I feel like I could probably do an entire episode just on this national costume because it's so intricate. But because of that, it's a favorite. Okay, this one really stood out to me. First of all, these palette sequins are incredible. I've never seen them this large. I've seen them very large, but never this large. And I'm just wondering, where in the world did they get the materials to make this? And then I found out that it is based off of a mythical goldfish, and that sold me on this. Goldfish are very underrated, friends. I think they're adorable. And I just thought that this was so well done. It was gorgeous, but I totally see the goldfish theme going on here. And I thought that it was really creative, and honestly, I probably never would have thought of something like that, a mythical goldfish national costume. If you're blown away by these costumes, give me a thumbs up in this episode, because I am so impressed. I can't even imagine how incredible that they are in person. This costume is different to me because it's so vibrant. We see her wearing this traditional Filipina gown, and I just think that it's done in a really unique way. I haven't seen this style before. The layering of those fabrics, just the colors. This piece did not really need very much to stand out, but I think that going with tradition but then adding in some vibrancy really helped to make it stand out for me, and it really made it memorable. This is another very intricate costume, and one of the commentators mentioned that they believe that there was a surprise with this costume, that it could potentially transform on stage. And I think transforming costumes are really fun. I have seen transforming fun fashion or runway outfits, and I really like them because they always have this element of surprise, and it makes them sort of interesting, and it makes them stand out a little bit more. So I would be excited to see how this piece transforms, if indeed that it does transform. Wow, that was really my only comment. I'm truly speechless on this one. I just thought that I'm losing adjectives. It was so stunning and it was so amazing, and it just really instantly caught my attention. Are these national costumes blowing your mind or what? Because I am super, super impressed. If you are loving them, comment costume down below. Tell me who your favorite is so far, or who your favorite is overall for the competition. I'm truly blown away. I feel like any of these would do well at an international competition. They are that incredible. The commentators thought that the accessories on this national costume were a little bit over the top, but for me, I think it's because I'm starved of national costumes, and we don't really have very many of those competitions for US pageants, that I'm a little more like, okay, the more over the top, the better. So the accessories in this national costume did not bother me one bit. Once again, I love anything with a crown, so I thought this piece was absolutely beautiful. The posing in the image, just the way that it's carried really blew me away. Wow, I have never seen a collar quite like this one before. I don't know if you have, but to me this is something new, and it stood out from the rest. It looked completely different from every other piece on stage, and that's really what impressed me. Hannah is a huge fan favorite. She's a returning contestant. I really see her going home with a national title, and this national costume just shows how poised she is to do that. And what I thought was really special about this one is that she actually helped to make the flowers that are on the bodice of her national costume, and that's really special. That's something that I often did. I would alter my outfits and my wardrobe for pageants, and it made it extra special, and it really had me invested in the entire process, and it gives you a really great and new appreciation for all the work that goes into a garment and all the work that designers put in. So I absolutely love how personal this piece is to her because she actually helped make it. Hey, are you preparing for your next pageant? Do you need a little bit of help with your interview wardrobe? Yes? No worries, I've been there. I have a free interview wardrobe style guide that can help you to put you on the right path to find an interview outfit that's appropriate for your age division and your pageant system. So if you want a copy of that, just click the description below and you'll find a link for that. She is one of my favorite contestants. If you watch the channel, you know that I was rooting for her last year when she competed, as well as this year. So I love the idea of this. Obviously, the Philippines are really known for pearls, or at least I feel like in the US, that's what many people associate with the Philippines, is their pearls. And So I thought this was a really, really beautiful piece. It was very fit for what is the town that Ariel lives in? Where does she live? Does Ariel live in Atlantis? Do you know what I'm talking about? The Disney princess. Like the la, you know what I mean? The Ariel, yeah, no, anyway, okay, skip that thought. Anyways, so I love this. I thought it was stunning, and I haven't seen as many bodysuits this year, so it ended up standing out in its own way, I think, because of that. What I like about this costume is that she's able to move in this piece. It's not really cumbersome, and she has a lot of opportunities to incorporate movement into her presentation on stage. And that's something that the commentators said, and it's something that I really agree with. Whenever we see national costume presentations, it's cool to have the really, really big, over-the-top pieces, but at the same time, it's also kind of nice when a contestant has the ability to incorporate movement into her presentation. So Vicky is another returning contestant, a huge fan favorite, and I've definitely always been rooting for her because she's remained so persistent. And this costume surprised me because I thought it was beautiful. I love the butterfly wings of it. And then it reminded me, like, why don't we see more butterfly themed national costumes? I feel like we see a lot of things with wings or things that look like they're carnival outfits, but we don't see as many butterfly wings, and that's sort of surprising because I do feel it's a very beautiful, and it could be a very, what's the word I'm looking for? I feel like the idea of it being a butterfly could have other meanings to it. And people were talking about that with Vicky, is saying like maybe this is her signifying her transformation, or her coming out of that cocoon and becoming this beautiful butterfly. The commentators said that they would be curious to see how this would have looked if she had worn a bodysuit or shown more of her legs, but I honestly feel like that's a little bit more typical. I think, yeah, it could have been super sexy looking, but I actually really like that she went a different direction and she's wearing a gown with it. To me, that makes it more unexpected and unique, and that it really complements the bright colors of the wings, and I think it's just something that makes it totally her own, and I loved it. Anything ocean inspired really gets me, and for me, what really captivated me is just her pose and her facial expression here, and I heard that this potentially also has a surprise as well, so I'm gonna be curious to see how that plays out. I loved this one. It looked like she stepped out of a Renaissance painting, and I like that it was beautifully done to today's standards of beauty, I would say, but at the same time, it did give me this feeling of something that was more vintage. And I just thought that that's what made it special, is I felt like it had this sense of authenticity. Authenticity and a likeness to a different era. And that's what sold it for me. That's all we have for today, friends. I know I'm sad it's already the end of another episode, but remember, you can come back every single week for new episodes, and if you have any episode requests, then just leave those in the comments below, or you can always message me on Instagram at Dani Walker as well. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that you had a lot of fun watching this one, and that I'll see you next week.